Legal twist to the DACA debate. Late last night, a federal judge in California temporarily blocked the Trump administration's decision to end the Obama-era program, which protects thousands of immigrants, 700,000, who entered the U.S. illegally as children. The news comes on the heels of President Trump's bipartisan negotiations yesterday on immigration, the search for a permanent solution for the so-called Dreamers.
When this group comes back, hopefully with an agreement, this group and others, from the Senate, from the House, comes back with an agreement, I'm signing it. I mean, I will be signing it. I'm not going to say, oh, gee, I want this or I want that. I'll be signing it because I have a lot of confidence in the people in this room that you're going to come out with something really.
Joining me right now to talk more about that is Marc Short, White House Director of Legislative Affairs. Marc, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Maria. Thanks for having me.
So when the president says when this group comes back, I'll be signing it, what does he mean by that? He's going to sign whatever they give him, or is he going to insist that there's funding for the border wall included?
Well, Maria, I think we've been very clear about several things that we want with the DACA deal that are necessary. One is border security. First and foremost, we have said, and not just from a political perspective, but Customs and Border Patrol professionals who have been working the border for decades have said a border wall is necessary to them to secure the border. We want to end chain migration, and we want to end the visa lottery program. Those are three requisites that we need to solve the DACA problem.
What about this ruling from the California judge basically saying, look, the president cannot stop the Dreamer program while this is continuing to be debated? The final judgment, until that final judgment is reached, the program must continue, and those already approved for DACA protections and work permits must be allowed to renew them before they expire. Thoughts?
Yeah, let's keep in mind a couple of things. That the circuit courts had already ruled the Obama-era decision was unconstitutional. In fact, even Obama expressed reservations and said they were taking this action because Congress didn't act. I think they knew that what they were doing from an executive level was not constitutional, and the courts ruled that. 25 states sued the federal government to overturn that decision. The Ninth Circuit, as you know, is consumed of a bunch of very liberal left-wing judges in San Francisco. They have continually been overruled at higher courts, just as they were with the travel ban. We would expect the same scenario to unfold with this. And so this is more just a distraction. We will continue to move forward in looking for a solution and a legislative fix to DACA. We need a legislative fix to solve the problem.
So you think this is just a distraction?
I think that this will be appealed, and we will continue to move forward in trying to find a legislative solution to this problem. Let's keep in mind a couple of things we've talked about, Maria, regarding chain migration and the visa lottery. The two incidents we faced in New York in which a terrorist ran over 5 individuals and killed them. He came here via chain migration. The individual who, he came here on a visa lottery, and he brought other family members via chain migration. The individual with the pipe bomb in the New York City subway came here on chain migration. It is time that we end those programs for the safety of Americans. It is also time that we secure our border. Democrats have voted time and again to build a border wall. They did in 2006 with the Secure Fence Act, including Chuck Schumer. 54 Democrats voted for $40 billion in border security, including a border wall in 2013. The only reason they're opposing it right now is because Donald Trump is president. This isn't about policy, it's about politics. It's time we put politics aside and solve this problem for the American people.
Well, I mean, the politics are all over the tweets coming out of Chuck Schumer, Mark. I mean, you know, what do you say to Chuck Schumer, who says this on Twitter yesterday? The Trump administration wants to cut back smart border security measures to pay for their wall. He says, why can't we reach a deal on DACA? Because Donald Trump's insistence on a completely ineffective and absurdly expensive border as part of any deal.
Chuck Schumer's voted for the wall. He voted for the Secure Fence Act in 2006.
Exactly.
The president has made the case that what we're looking for in many cases, CBP has come to him and said, in many cases, it's better that we actually have fencing so we can see through the other side of the wall. The president is comfortable with that. These are things Chuck Schumer has voted for. It is all political. It's not about the policy. There's a recognition that the policy that the Customs and Border Patrol is asking for is necessary to secure our country, and it is necessary to prevent so many drugs coming into the country right now. This is only about politics, Maria, and it's time that we get a solution to the problem.
Yeah, and we've already seen sound bites of past presidents, from Bill Clinton to George W., basically saying the same thing that President Trump is saying. But how far is this president willing to go? Are you willing to keep this up, that you're not going to do a DACA deal without the funding, even if it means the government shuts down?
Well, Maria, there's no reason the government should shut down over this. The reality is that a budget should have been in place 4 months ago to fund our government. The White House submitted a budget to Congress last February. Congress usually runs an appropriation process that should complete on September 30th. We're now in January, and the Democrat position has been that we are not going to fund the troops. We are not going to fund the national security needs of this country. We're not going to fund all the federal workers until we get a DACA solution. There's no reason why those two issues need to be tied together. We are anxious to solve DACA. Why the Democrats want to shut down the government over that issue is befuddling to us, and we think ultimately that will be a very difficult position for them to maintain if we reach that point. Hopefully we don't. Hopefully we get a solution here in the next 10 days.
So what was Senator Feinstein trying to do yesterday when she asked the president, will you just sign a clean bill, DACA bill, and then we deal with security later? I mean, initially, did the president understand that she was trying to get a DACA bill across without his border wall? Because he said, yeah, we want to get a deal done, not recognizing, I think, what she was actually asking.
Well, I think that Chairman Feinstein has actually been a constructive voice in a lot of our discussions, and we have high regard for her. But there's certainly a lack of trust, Maria, to say, let's just do this one piece and we'll come back and do border security later.
Right.
When you and I have just talked about the fact that they voted multiple times for border security, knowing that they can authorize it with actually never appropriating the dollars to go do it. And so we want to make sure that this time the dollars are appropriated and we actually make sure that there's a physical barrier on the wall.
So you think a deal happens in the next week?
I'm confident we will get a deal, Maria.
So the Department of Homeland Security announced that border apprehensions are down 40% for the first year of President Trump's term. This is a pretty significant number. What do you think is behind this?
I think that there's a couple things that are behind that. One, honestly, is the reality of you have a president who's sincere about saying he wants to secure the border, and a recognition that for the brave men and women on our border, they're doing their job. And there's also an interior enforcement, so that in many cases there's enormous prices paid to people who are human traffickers, who bring individuals across the country, and then if we're doing our job, they are returned. And there's a sense of, why should we go through that challenge? Why should we go through all the human risk, the health risk, the price risk, if we're going to be sent back? There's a reality that this administration is sincere of upholding the law of the United States of America. We think that's what's really driving down the border crossings.
Yeah, I mean, just the idea that there is a new policeman in town, that the apprehensions are going to be much closely watched, has actually stopped people from even attempting.
That's exactly right, Maria.
Yeah. Mark, let me switch gears and ask you about this Florida decision. People are wondering why the administration has told Florida that it will not consider new oil and gas drilling off the state. That's a backtrack, we know, on plans that he wants to expand offshore drilling all around the country. Why not Florida?
Well, keep in mind, Maria, the administration is anxious to make sure that America is energy dominant. It's why ANWR was part of the most recent tax relief package. The decision there is one that the Secretary of the Interior is making, and I think that it's more appropriate for me to allow him to respond to the questions about Florida specifically. But we have relieved a lot of regulations to help make sure that America is able to harvest its natural resources, and I think you'll continue to see the administration do that.
Did he have, I mean, obviously the governor of Florida didn't want it and pushed back, and the president agreed we don't need to do it off of the shores of Florida.
There's a lot of local politics involved there in Florida, there's no doubt. But again, I think that that's one that the Secretary of Interior is going to have more information for you, Maria, about the decision that they made.
Mark, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me on.